Have you ever noticed how your world subtly changes when your phone battery is dying? A few years ago, ride-sharing companies discovered a fascinating quirk in human psychology. If your phone battery is critically low, you are exponentially more likely to accept surge pricing. You are desperate. You need a ride before your screen goes black. You aren't making a rational financial decision. You are operating out of a digital survival instinct. Now, imagine that level of granular, hyper-specific tracking applied not just to your evening commute, but to your entire financial future. Welcome to the era of the shadow score. For decades, we've been told that our financial destiny is tied to a 3-digit number, the FICO credit score. We are taught to nurture it, protect it, and check it obsessively. We believe that this number represents our financial identity in the eyes of the system. But what if I told you that the traditional credit score is already obsolete? Mega corporations, data brokers, and financial institutions are no longer interested in looking at your past to guess your future. They have built systems to predict your exact financial trajectory, your lifetime value, and your potential net worth before you've even earned your next paycheck. This is the story of how you were turned into a predictable asset. It's the story of your financial ghost. And it's the story of the surveillance economy, where the product isn't what you buy, it's what you are guaranteed to do next. To understand what is happening behind the closed doors of Silicon Valley and Wall Street, we have to look at the fundamental difference between traditional credit and predictive valuation. Your standard FICO score is, essentially, a rearview mirror. It asks incredibly simple, binary questions. Did you pay your credit card on time last month? Did you default on a loan 5 years ago? How much debt do you currently have? It relies entirely on your historical actions. Most importantly, it is highly regulated by the Fair Credit Reporting Act. You have the legal right to see it, and if there is a mistake, you have a legally protected mechanism to dispute it and force a correction. But looking backward is bad for modern business. Rearview mirrors do not win races. Companies don't want to know who you were. They want to know what you are going to become. Enter the Consumer Valuation Score, widely known in the shadowy echelons of the data brokerage industry as the E-score. Unlike FICO, E-scores are entirely unregulated. They are proprietary, invisible, and you have absolutely no right to see them. They don't track your financial history. They track your behavioral patterns to calculate a metric called Customer Lifetime Value, or CLV. Let's look at a hypothetical consumer. We'll call him Alex. Alex has a great job, zero debt, and a perfect 800 FICO score. By the old rules of the 20th century economy, he is golden. Alex applies for a premium travel credit card and a mortgage on the exact same day. Strangely, he is denied for the premium card and offered a surprisingly high interest rate on the mortgage. Why? Because the algorithm isn't looking at his bank account, it's looking at his metadata. The predictive algorithms scrape what is known as alternative data. This isn't just about what you buy, it's about how you interact with the world. How fast does Alex type? Does he hesitate before entering his credit card information? Keystroke dynamics can indicate confidence or anxiety. Does he use a Mac or a PC? Multiple independent studies have shown that Mac users occasionally get shown higher prices for hotels and flights because the algorithm assumes a higher baseline of disposable income. Does he scroll straight to the bottom of the terms and conditions, or does he linger and actually read them? Impulsive scrollers are modeled differently than meticulous readers. Does he buy premium brand groceries or generic? What time of day does he usually shop? And perhaps most invasively, who is he connected to on social media? This introduces a terrifying metric called social proximity wealth. If Alex's social network consists mostly of people who have defaulted on loans, have low-paying jobs, or exhibit erratic financial behavior, his shadow score drops by association. The algorithm assumes that you are the financial average of the 5 people you spend the most time with online. If Alex uses poor grammar or frantic capitalization in his public posts, natural language processing algorithms flag him as a higher risk. If his geolocation data shows he frequently visits bars late on Tuesday nights, his health and life insurance shadow metrics adjust accordingly, assuming a propensity for risky behavior. The algorithm processes all of this invisible data and determines that while Alex is responsible right now, his micro-behaviors indicate a 64% chance of a major lifestyle disruption, like a career change, a medical issue, or a divorce, within the next 3 years. Therefore, his customer lifetime value is actually quite low. In the cold calculus of the machine, he isn't a whale worth catering to. He is classified as waste. And the most terrifying part of this entire process? Alex will never, ever know why he was denied. He will just assume the economy is tough. To predict the future with that level of terrifying accuracy, you have to run simulations. In aerospace and enterprise engineering, companies use a concept called a digital twin. When a massive manufacturer like General Electric builds a complex jet engine, they don't just build the physical machine, they build a perfect mathematical clone of it in a computer system. They then subject this digital ghost to thousands of simulated flights, extreme weather conditions, bird strikes, and mechanical failures. They break the digital ghost millions of times to find out exactly when the real engine will need maintenance, long before it ever leaves the runway. Data brokers like Axiom, Experian, and Palantir have realized a profoundly lucrative truth. If you can build a digital twin of a jet engine, you can build a digital twin of a human being. Using the thousands of alternative data points harvested from your apps, your purchases, your geolocation, and your internet history, these companies build your financial ghost. Once your ghost is constructed, the algorithms begin running Monte Carlo simulations. A Monte Carlo simulation is a mathematical technique used to calculate probabilities by running millions of different random scenarios and aggregating the outcomes. They take your digital twin and they simulate your next 10, 20, or 30 years. What happens to this person's discretionary spending if they have a child? What if the local factory shuts down and they lose their primary income? What if they suffer a bout of depression and their purchasing shifts entirely to delivery apps and digital entertainment? The simulations calculate the exact threshold at which you will break. They find out exactly how much debt you can shoulder before you inevitably default. They predict your peak net worth down to the exact dollar. This is the fundamental paradigm-shattering shift in modern finance. When you walk into a bank or log on to an app to request a line of credit, the corporation is not dealing with you. The real you is messy, unpredictable, emotional, and human. They don't want to deal with that. They are dealing with your ghost. The interest rate you are offered today is directly based on the simulated failures of your digital twin tomorrow. You are being judged, penalized, and categorized for lives you haven't even lived yet. How did we get here? How did we move from slightly annoying targeted banner ads to probabilistic financial cloning? Harvard professor Shoshana Zuboff coined the term surveillance capitalism to describe the business model of the early 21st century. The model was relatively simple. Harvest massive amounts of user data, figure out what products they like, and sell highly targeted advertising. In that era, your attention was the product. But we have already moved past surveillance capitalism. We are now deeply entrenched in the era of behavioral futures. The megacorporations realize that predicting what pair of shoes you might click on is small change. The real money, the trillion-dollar industry, is in predicting macroeconomic human behavior and selling that absolute certainty to Wall Street. Let's say an algorithm notices a subtle, seemingly insignificant shift in the geolocation data of 100,000 people in a specific zip code. They are spending slightly less time at retail stores. Their grocery purchases have shifted from name-brand organic to generic store brands. and their nighttime sleep patterns, tracked via the accelerometers in their smartwatches, have become suddenly erratic. The algorithm doesn't just see a group of tired people saving money. It mathematically predicts a localized micro-recession in that specific zip code 6 months before any government economic report or census data catches it. The data brokers then package and sell this prediction. They sell it to real estate investment firms who immediately halt development and pull their money out of that area. They sell it to subprime auto lenders who flood the zip code with aggressive, high-interest loan advertisements, knowing the population will soon be desperate for liquidity. They sell it to hedge funds who immediately short the stock of local businesses. In this new economy, you are no longer the consumer. You are not even the product. You are the raw material. Your predictable behavior is the ore being aggressively mined to forge new, complex financial instruments. And this leads us to the darkest, most insidious function of the predictive algorithm: steering. A prediction is only truly valuable to a shareholder if it comes true. If an algorithm predicts that our hypothetical consumer, Alex, is going to face severe financial hardship, the system doesn't just passively watch. It begins to subtly restrict his options to mitigate the company's risk. His credit limits are quietly lowered without notification. He magically stops seeing advertisements for high-yield investment accounts and instead starts seeing targeted ads for payday loans and debt consolidation services. His car and health insurance premiums quietly tick upward. By treating Alex as if he is already a financial risk, the algorithm creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. It doesn't just predict his future. It actively steers him into it to ensure its own mathematical accuracy. The ghost dictates reality. So, where does this leave us? If our financial futures are being pre-calculated by proprietary algorithms we aren't allowed to see, using data we didn't know we were giving away, is the game just over? Not necessarily. But the solution isn't as simple as just deleting your apps. You cannot opt out of the modern economy. If you try to live off the grid and have zero digital footprint, the algorithms flag you as highly suspicious, an anomaly, which can be just as financially damaging as having a terrible shadow score. The new frontier of consumer defense isn't privacy, it's obfuscation. Tech advocates and privacy researchers are developing tools designed specifically for data poisoning. If you can't stop the algorithms from tracking your every move, you simply feed them garbage. There are browser extensions that silently click random links in the background, rendering your search profile completely schizophrenic and commercially useless. Tools like Ad-nauseam click every single ad on a page, making it impossible for the algorithm to determine your actual interests. If the data broker is trying to build your digital twin, data poisoning ensures that your twin is a chaotic, unpredictable mess that shatters their Monte Carlo simulations. We also need robust, aggressive, and modern regulation. The laws governing the FICO score were written in the 1970s. They demand that credit reporting must be transparent, accurate, and completely disputable. It is long past time to drag those laws kicking and screaming into the 21st century. If an algorithm is using your data to calculate your lifetime value, you deserve the fundamental legal right to look that algorithm in the eye, see exactly what it is predicting about you, and challenge its assumptions. But, ultimately, we are more than the sum of our keystrokes. We are more than the battery life of our phones or the grammatical structure of our text messages. We are entirely capable of waking up tomorrow and making a choice that defies every mathematical probability stored in a corporate database. The corporations have built an invisible, predictive cage around our financial futures. Our job now is to remind them that humans, real, messy, beautiful, unpredictable humans, are the one variable their algorithms can never, ever fully control. Don't let the ghost win.